Is the Detroit Lions defense the next no-fly zone? Let's get it started. What is up, everyone? Welcome into the video. I'm glad you guys clicked on today's video, and in this video we're going to be having some fun. Now we'll try to keep it realistic, and spit out some numbers there, and I'm going to try to make a case at why this could be possible, but let's keep in mind here that this is a little bit for fun, and the chances of the Detroit Lions having the next no-fly zone and going from one of the worst pass defenses to one of the best is very unlikely, but we're going to have some fun with this one. It gave me an excuse to really research the no-fly zone, and hopefully the Lions' pass defense is better. And with all of the secondary talk about all these players, Derek Roberts, Theprogrammersmuzik, Desmond Trufant, why don't I make this video? Why not make this video? So let's have some fun with it. Now, I don't know if this came up in a chat, in a comment, or what. Maybe I said it, but I just had the idea to do this. And I wanted to go see what the no-fly zone was because I knew it was the Broncos. I just didn't know what it was, right? Like where the no-fly zone actually come from. And basically the no-fly zone was 2014 through 2018. It was the Broncos passing defense mainly, but their defense really as a whole. In 2015, it really got a name for itself. I would say it was 2015 through 2018 because in 2015, they went from having the ninth best passing defense and being, I think it was 10th in the league in sacks, to going to the best. They had the most sacks in the league and were the best pass defense and led to a Super Bowl and held Aaron Rodgers to 77 passing yards and had over 20 quarterback hits against Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. Man, I can go on and on with this one. This defense was stout, and it wasn't just, oh, the secondary is good. Everything has to be good. Secondary really does play off getting pass rush and getting to the quarterback, but this defense was on another level. So it's really interesting to actually go look at the no-fly zone. So I will give you guys a brief, summary. That's my brief little summary. But for me, this really became the no-fly zone. I don't want to say this word too many times, but that's what it basically became in 2015 when they hired Wade Phillips. Now, Wade Phillips was a defensive mind that was hired as a defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Like I said, in 2014, they had a good passing defense. When you're ninth in passing and you're, I think, 41 sacks as a team, which was 10th in the league, that's good. That's nothing to be ashamed about. Many teams would take that. But they're like, nah, we got to be better. We want to be the best. And they became the best. Hiring Wade Phillips was a great move because their defense became the best very quickly, and this team dominated all the way to a Super Bowl win. They kind of carried Peyton Manning. Now, I'm not going to say Peyton Manning wasn't there because I think Peyton Manning, where he had the record for passing touchdowns that year, 55, was that 2015? Either way, Peyton Manning was still a monster. We all know this. I'm not saying, Peyton Manning, he just got there because he had a good defense. That's blasphemy. That's crazy for me to say that. But this defense was a huge, huge factor, and they were really, really good. So how in the world am I going to make a case that a team like the Lions that had one of the worst passing defenses in 2019 is going to become the next no-fly zone? Now, a lot of this is going to be having to look at 2018 and kind of having confidence that, we can get back to that 2018 level. So keep that in mind, okay? Obviously, 2019 went really wrong. We were like one of the three most injured teams in the league. Matthew Stafford went down. You know what? Let's just forget about 2019. Let's just pick it up and throw it somewhere else. Can we do that? No, we can't do that. Dang it. Okay, so that stinks. But you know what? No, we're going to do it anyways. We're going to do that for this video, okay? Okay, let's talk about some similarities. The first similarity is, like I just mentioned, Wade Phillips was hired, and he ran a different defense. He ran a 3-4, which is very broad, but he did it a different way. He played one-gap techniques for the defensive linemen, which basically meant that they were going against the offensive linemen straight across from them, which would leave two guards open, which was the responsibility for their linebacker. So it was a way different way of thinking about it, but ultimately it got everybody kind of involved and put them in a situation where they were able to succeed. And where they were their best, that's where they had their most opportunities. So I think that's really cool when you look at it. But that's what Wade Phillips' defense was for the Denver Broncos. Well, this offseason, the Detroit Lions brought in Corey Undlin. Now, Corey Undlin was not a defensive coordinator before. He was actually a secondary coach, which obviously, fly zone equals secondary, so secondary coach. You should think that's a good thing. A secondary coach with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was well known for making that secondary look a lot better than what it actually was. We know this offseason they went and got Darius Slay. There's a reason they got Darius Slay. Let me just throw that out there. They didn't think their pass defense was that good talent-wise. So there's a reason they went and got Slay, and they've really focused on the secondary. But we bring in Corey Undlin. So we both brought in defensive coordinators that are, known for defense. Well, I hope so, because if you're bringing in a defense coordinator not known for defense, and oh my gosh, why did I say that? I'm sorry, y'all. That was dumb. That was the stupid thing I say. Okay, that's the first similarity. Now, when you have a great defense, when you have a no-fly zone, you got to have talent, because coaching is good. You got to have talent. So let's take a look at that secondary. They had Chris Harris, who was a, I believe, Pro Bowl player, who had 2 interceptions basically every single year, 6 passes defended, solid. I couldn't find the advanced stats back then, but hey, that's still solid. Aqib Talib, these are 2015 stats, had 3 interceptions. 2 of those interceptions he took back for touchdowns. He was an all-pro player with 13 passes defended. Aqib Talib was on another level. But then you had a guy named Bradley Roby who had an interception, and he played in 4 games. He started in 4 games, I should say. They brought in Darian Stewart through free agency, who was a safety, and they had TJ Ward. So the secondary is looking nice. Like, that's looking pretty darn good. But man, you got to get some pressure, right? How did he get 52 sacks? Well, they had Von Miller, who was kind of, I would say, in his prime. They had Ware, they had Trevathan, who stepped up. They had Brandon Marshall, they had Wolf. They had some solid players onto that front. They brought in Shane Ray in the draft. They had some solid players, and obviously they played pretty well. So they have talent, they have good coaching, right? That's a key to success. Now, what does the Detroit Lions defense look like? Well, the first similarity, let me just throw this out there, is as I mentioned, Darian Stewart was signed as a safety, and that was to look at as maybe their best signing at free agency by a couple of people. And he's going to help, kind of help that young secondary or help their secondary kind of pull together. Well, if you look at the Lions offseason, that's kind of what they did too. They brought in Deron Harmon to kind of pull together that young secondary of Tracy Walker, Will Harris, Jeffrey Okudah, try to pull together this new, safety group, because when we had Glover Quinn, when we had Quandre Diggs, this defense was really good. Safeties are important. We didn't really have veteran safety last year. We traded away Quandre Diggs, so oh snap, who's our safety? Well, this offseason, we bring in Deron Harmon, and Deron Harmon's kind of our Darian Stewart, so there's a similarity. Now, if you look at the Lions secondary, you would say it's pretty talented, and I think it's easy to say this is actually the Lions' strength as a team, at least on the defensive side. When you pair Jeffrey Okudah, who was the best corner in this draft, or the 3rd pick in the draft, I should say, when you pair him with Desmond Trufant, who last season had 4 interceptions. Now, he was not having his best season. Some people believe that, he wasn't utilized right. He's 29 years old, which isn't crazy old. I mean, this is kind of like the prime of his career. Coming off a 4 interception year, but he only played in 9 games. He probably would have been a Pro Bowler if he played the entire season. Then you have Justin Coleman, who was the highest paid slot cornerback until a guy named Kenny Moore came around. Then you have Amani Oruwariye, who just played in a few games, who's now going into his 2nd year, who had 2 interceptions, right? That's pretty darn good. And you have Darryl Roberts, who was a starter as your 5th cornerback. Well, that secondary looks pretty solid if you ask me. Now, the real question is, will the Lions be able to get pressure? And I know that question is here. Now, I actually have a lot of videos on the Lions pressures. Don't let me know. Go check out my video where it's called, Can the Lions Get Pressure in 2020? Or will the Lions get pressure in 2020? But this is where we have to look back at 2018. And the reason I'm doing this, because I couldn't find the stats onto how much the Broncos blitzed. I'm sure they did a lot, in that 3-4-D with these great linebackers and pass rushers. I'm sure they did a lot, but I don't know for sure, okay? But what I do know is that in 2018, a team that blitzed only 16.9% of the time, which was the Lions, which was one of the lowest in the league, had 43 sacks. 43 sacks. Oh, wow, that's pretty darn good. That's actually more sacks than what the Broncos had in 2014. Oh, snap. So hold up, you're telling me that a team that went from good to outstanding in the Broncos, the Lions were at that good spot in 2018. Yup. And also in 2018, the Detroit Lions were 8th in pass defense. Meanwhile, the Broncos, they were 9th in pass defense. So, oh snap, hold up, you're telling me in 2018 we were good and we just got to build on that. But then 2019 came around. So if you just kick 2019 out of here and just act like it didn't happen, you would say, hey, there's actually a lot of similarities, but the problem is we can't do that. But for the sake of this video, we are. So that's obviously a huge, huge comparison. Now, a lot of this is going to come down to this young front 7 for the Lions. When you look at the Broncos, they had a young Danny Trevathan, they had Brandon Marshall, and they didn't really address any of the interior linebacker position. That was a big question mark for them. Well, I think that's a pretty big question mark for us. And what we did this offseason was added Jamie Collins. But we still have a lot of young, unproven guys. Jelani Tavai, Jared Davis, Reggie Ragland. So those guys need to step up like they had to step up. At the pass rusher position, we got a new one named Julian Okwara. And at the D-line position, we addressed it, bringing in Danny Shelton and adding some more depth to, again, an unproven front 7. So the question is, will the Lions be able to take that jump defensively and become the next fly zone? Honestly, probably not. But I will say this, I believe it's going to be a lot better than it was last season. Never know. You never know. So I just thought this would be a fun video to do, man. Hey, don't get too mad about this. If this is no disrespect to the Broncos fans or whoever's watching this, the no-fly zone was unmatched, and I don't know if it'll ever be matched again. But it's mainly like just a cool way to, put the title and to say that, hey, the Lions defense should be a lot better next season in the passing game because it's been like that before and we added some talent to it. So we'll see what happens. But shout out to that no-fly zone. That is incredible, man. Go look at that. Just go look at the numbers and what they did. That's just incredible. And hopefully the Lions can get to that level. Let me hear your thoughts, Constable. Thank you for watching.
All right, y'all. So you're going to get a little voice over here. This is how you get to the Dodge Shop for anyone wondering how you can check out the apparel. So click the link in the description. Here you will see the link in the description. It is the DOD Shop, Dodge Shop. Everyone say, I say Dodge Shop because it sounds cool. Let that thing load up. You can look this up also on Google or wherever. You don't have to click the link, but this is an easier way to do it, I think. So you can see you'll come up, sometimes it's pop up, just X that out. Unless you want to do it, get 10% off. But you can scroll through, man, you can see all of our designs. We got some new ones up there. Actually, a few just came in. So check it out. Thank you for watching again, and I'm out.